Hey again there, YouTube. This is Amy at Hoppa Chick Creative, and I have another project and a tutorial to share. And like most of my projects, this is experimental. This will be the first time I've tried this. I have seen similar tutorials on YouTube, but not done in this particular way. And so, however this comes out will be a surprise for everyone involved. Okay, so one of my new favorite things to work with is the UTEE by Ranger, and it's ultra thick embossing enamel. It is like normal embossing powder, except it has thicker granules and it melts a little bit more, like in the consistency of resin. And so I haven't gotten the melting pot yet. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a whole lot of major melting with this. I might be using it more for embossing, so don't know quite yet if I'm going to be making the investment in the melting pot, but time will tell. So what I wanted to do is that since Valentine's Day is coming up, I wanted to try out putting UTEE into a silicone mold. These are bakeable, so I am thinking that my heat tool will not melt or overheat the silicone mold since it's made for baking. And I picked out a lovely shade of, it's kind of a pink pearlescent shade, and it's Pearlex by Jacquard, and the name is Duo Red Blue. So I'm not sure if this is one of the interference colors. I think it would have interference in the name if it were, but interference, as I understand, are two shades mixed together, which this seems to be. However, we'll see how it comes out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my handy dandy little scoop and just scoop into one of the hearts. And since this is the first time I'm doing it, I'm just going to try layers first. That way, if it starts to turn into a gunky mess, I haven't used too much of my product. So I just scooped out a generous amount of Pearlex, and I'm just mixing it in with the UTEE. That's looking pretty uniform in color. The Pearlex blends really nicely with the UTEE. Looks like you actually can hardly see the UTEE now. It just looks like the Pearlex. Okay, so I have tried melting the UTEE right onto the Ranger craft mat, and it pops right off as soon as it's ready. I don't know how easily it's going to pop out of the silicone mold. I know that with resin, I've sometimes had trouble getting pieces out of the mold, so we'll see how it goes. And until I get my Ranger Heat It tool, which actually can go over the top of UTEE without blowing it everywhere, I'm just going to be using my Durex heat tool, and I'm going to heat it from underneath. That way we're not blowing powder everywhere. And I'm just going to get it right up against the silicone. Not being shy. And I'm just checking in underneath here to make sure that mold is not turning any funky colors, showing that it's burning. thinking what I'll try next is I have a metal pan with cupcake holders. Okay, I'm going to hold the heat tool a little bit away from the silicone because there is some smoking happening. And I don't want to ruin my mold. But I'm thinking with the metal, if I can hold it with a pot holder so my hand doesn't burn halfway off, the UTEE will burn a lot quicker because it's in metal. Okay, I'm going to get a little further away now from the heat tool because there's quite a bit of smoking going on. Okay, now I'm just going to do a little check-in here. See how we're doing. So what it looks like, the UTEE isn't moving, so that's a good sign. I can probably start heating it from above the mold. So let me give it another pop of heat here. And usually if anything's going to blow away, it's going to be the Pearl X because it is so fine. It's a mica powder and much, much finer than, you know, ordinary glitter. The UTEE will blow too. However, UTEE holds a lot better if you're embossing, like if you use a sticky embossing pad. Okay, that was quite a bit of UTEE that I just put in there. But we're just going to see what happens. Okay, another big scoop of the Duo Red Blue. I'm just going to stir that in. And I can feel that underneath it, the layer that has already been melted is pretty liquidy. It hasn't become solid yet. So that gives me a little more flexibility as far as being able to shape the mold. And I kind of want to get crazy and throw a little bit of gold mica in there, but I don't know yet how this is going to turn out, so we'll just see. Okay, so a little bit more of a heat drop. This time I'm just moving the tool around pretty quickly. This is a little bit like the brown paper bag technique that they use on Cool-to-Craft with Elaine's tacky glue. Instead of holding the heat stationary, you want to keep it moving so that it doesn't burn, it just heats. So far the mold hasn't changed shape, so that's a good sign. Also, probably if you've experimented at all with burning things, you know that the smell can get pretty toxic. So far, this is not, I can't really smell much of anything at all. So, I mean, it doesn't smell like burning plastic or anything like that. Okay, so I can see that the granules are still moving around a little bit. And I want to hold up the heat tool far enough that it's not going to blow everything away. One excellent thing I learned about UTEE is that if you do have a melting pot and you have pieces left over, for instance, earlier I had done stamping into UTEE and I cut away the UTEE, and this has gold and silver mica in it, and this can be remelted, which I think is awesome, because with resin, if you make a mistake and you have that finished resin piece and it's cured, there's really no going back. Whereas with the UTEE, you would be able to remelt that embellishment or whatever it is that you're making so that, whoops, it's starting to really come out there. So yeah, like I was saying though, if you're making, you know, a little charm or something with the UTEE, it would be remeltable if it didn't turn out, like if it, you know, if the shape didn't come out quite right, or if the mold didn't take real well and you didn't get the detail that you wanted, you can melt it back down and try again. So now I'm starting to get some really interesting colors and shapes, and it looks very pearly. And you can definitely see the two colors of the red and blue. They kind of combine to make a cool shimmery violet color. Okay. And a little bit more of the Pearlex. It's the funniest thing when I am working on just about any project, I just want to add gold to it. Doesn't matter what colors I'm using, I always want gold. And so I know they sell different colors of UTEE, and I wonder if gold is one of them. I know they make black UTEE. But I would love me some gold UTEE. It just, I cannot get enough of that metallic in that particular one too. I like copper and silver a lot too, but gold is the one that I just keep coming back to. Okay, so since this is taking quite a while and I don't want the tediousness of this whole melting process to bore you, I'm just going to stop the film right here, go to a part 2 to where I have it layered up to the rim, and then we'll see how it pops out. Okay? See you then.